Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Greetings, fellow awakening mammals, and welcome back to Awakening Apes, where we try to guide you through the realms of mystery and intrigue. Join us today as we embark on an exploration of Earth's silent companion, delving into its captivating mysteries. Beware the chilling, barren glow of lunar secrets, casting long, ominous shadows across the surface, as if hiding ancient truths beneath their veils of darkness. Our next episode will focus on the moon and discuss why we haven't returned, or perhaps why we may not have gone at all. Mainstream science concluded that the moon formed around 4.5 billion years ago, when a Mars-sized object collided with Earth, ejecting debris that coalesced into the moon. Now, let us discuss some interesting, let's call them circumstances. Our moon is about 400 times smaller than the Sun, but also 400 times closer to Earth, which uniquely enables Earth to experience a total solar eclipse. This alone is an extraordinary coincidence, and you know what we think about coincidences.
Yeah, I don't believe in coincidences. Hey.
Furthermore, with a quarter size of Earth, our moon is abnormally and also uniquely large compared to its host planet. With 25% of Earth's size, the moon only has about 1% of Earth's mass. For some reason, it appears that the outer layer of lunar rock is older than the inner layers, which on Earth only happens if we dig the old rock out. Some of the lunar rocks are allegedly older than the solar system. All craters appear to have the same depth, regardless of their radius, as if there were a layer within the moon's crust protecting its inner parts. In 1969, deliberately crashing the lunar landing module onto the moon's surface resulted in an unusual phenomenon. It seemed as if the moon was ringing like a bell. This observation has led to speculation about the possibility of the moon having hollow pockets.
That's no moon. It's a space station.
It's too big to be a space station.
Furthermore, the moon maintains a near-perfect orbit, despite orbiting much closer to Earth than it should. Now that we discussed a few of those circumstances, with all that in mind, let's find out why we haven't gone back.
No bell! No bell!
But first, according to astronaut Donald Pettit, we don't have the technology anymore to send that tin can back up. Even though the moon is relatively close to Earth, astronauts would still have to travel 240,000 miles through open vacuum. Passing through the Van Allen radiation belts, astronauts can attempt to navigate through the safer regions of the belt, but predicting them is challenging due to their dynamic nature. Understanding their patterns remains challenging. Even after they pass through the Van Allen belt, they still will be subjected to the possibility of being hit by a solar flare or cosmic radiation, which the astronauts have zero control over. Not to mention the sheer cost and manpower needed for said operation. But we did it before, right? Previously, it was akin to launching a tin can across the Pacific and crossing your fingers for a successful outcome. This is, in my opinion, the main reason we haven't gone back yet. We are not willing to take the substantial risks involved. The question arises, if it is so hard today, did we actually go more than 50 years ago? In my honest opinion, there are strong arguments on both sides of the debate. Before I begin, let me acknowledge that there are hundreds of different angles and arguments, like the shadows casting in all directions, flags waving in vacuum, and the absence of visible stars in the sky. However, most of these talking points have already been debunked. Therefore, I aim to concentrate on points that haven't received as much discussion. First, let's examine the strongest arguments supporting the authenticity of the moon landing. The first argument is moon rocks. The Apollo missions brought back a significant amount of lunar material, including rocks and soil, which have been studied by scientists around the world. These moon rocks have unique characteristics, such as high levels of certain elements and isotopic compositions, distinct from Earth rocks, confirming their extraterrestrial origin. The authenticity of these moon rocks is widely accepted in the scientific community and serves as tangible evidence of the Apollo missions. Second argument, lunar laser ranging experiment. One of the key pieces of evidence supporting the moon landing is the presence of retroreflectors left on the lunar surface by Apollo astronauts. These retroreflectors are used for the lunar laser ranging experiment, in which laser beams are aimed at the moon from Earth and reflected back. The precise timing of the returning laser pulses allows scientists to measure the distance between the Earth and the moon with extraordinary accuracy. This experiment has been ongoing since the Apollo missions and provides concrete proof of human presence on the moon. Lastly, for most people, the most convincing argument: Soviet Union silence. During the Cold War era, the United States and the Soviet Union were engaged in a fierce space race. If the moon landing had been faked, the Soviet Union, which closely monitored US activities, would have had a strong incentive to expose the deception and undermine American credibility on the world stage. The fact that the Soviet Union never disputed the authenticity of the moon landings provides strong evidence that they indeed occurred. Now let's consider the opposing side of the debate. Moon rocks, out of the 370 moon rocks. Distributed to nations worldwide by the Nixon administration, approximately 180 remain unaccounted for. Moreover, numerous of the accounted-for rocks have been stored away in facilities, remaining untouched for decades. Except for a moon rock gifted to the Rijksmuseum in the Netherlands, it turns out that the rock is simply old petrified wood. Who would have guessed that? Given that this is just one of the 370 moon rocks, it's not proof by any means, but it certainly raises eyebrows and doesn't help dispel conspiracies. Second argument, lunar laser ranging experiment. Its existence on the moon has been shown without a doubt through countless independent scientists. But according to some theories, it is not proof of a manned mission, since NASA could have sent a rover to place the mirrors. Lastly, the strongest argument, Soviet silence. The Soviets surely had intel on what NASA is doing and could have exposed any wrongdoing. Yes, that is true, but what if the Soviets were also lying about their space program? There are even more questions about the first man in space, Yuri Gagarin, than the first man on the moon. Also, many people are unaware that during the Cold War, the United States exported a significant amount of grain to the Soviet Union. This was because the Soviets were unable to fully support their own population, leading to a reliance on imports from other countries, including the US. So even if the Soviets were aware of any wrongdoing by NASA, they would have had a lot of reasons to stay quiet. I would like to add a couple of arguments of why I suspect NASA isn't telling us the whole story. Firstly, we must always consider the multitude of abnormalities inherent to the moon itself. One common argument is the odd press release after the moon landing. Do they appear to you as the heroes of humanity who have just returned from one of the most incredible feats humans have ever achieved? In my opinion, they look ashamed. Ashamed of what, though? Oh, and also, apparently NASA lost their tapes from Apollo 11, so according to Wikipedia they probably erased the moon landing and reused the tape for something more important than the first man on the moon. Seems fishy to me. What do you think? Lastly is an argument you probably never heard of. Remember my analogy from earlier in this video? With the tin can over the Pacific and how bad the odds are of surviving such an ordeal. In today's aviation we have redundancies. Every part is double if not triple on airplanes. But that wasn't the case in the Apollo missions. Everything had to go 100% right, and even then there was a good chance of failure. I believe the stakes were just too high for the mission to possibly fail. Imagine the Saturn V just exploded at liftoff. This could have had catastrophic consequences for the image of the USA, and would not have been allowed by the government. Knowing our government and their extensive efforts to protect American interests, it's difficult for me to believe that they merely accept the odds and hope for the best.
Whenever an aggressor threatens the peace and security of any free world nation, he must accept the possibility of meeting face-to-face Shaq in action.
In conclusion, I absolutely believe we could have gone to the moon, but I also believe the government is capable of some shady things, and there are a lot of concerning questions about the Apollo program. It seems as if NASA isn't telling us the whole story. It doesn't help that while researching this video, I found it really difficult to find alternative viewpoints on this matter on mainstream platforms such as YouTube. Combining all the abnormalities within the moon itself, I find it hard to believe in so many coincidences. This debate is as old as the moon landing itself. But what do you think? Do you think moon landing was fabricated perhaps by some famous director? Or do you think NASA is free from any doubt and they are just bringing humanity forward? Let me know in the comments section. Thanks for watching Awakening Apes, and as always, please subscribe and like the video.